Alright folks, we are en route to the greenhouse colour place. I think that is our next destination, yeah. Oh, and there's some environmental puzzles we can do along the way, right? There sure are. Are they from here? Like, what is this? Oh, ooh, it's not quite from here. I think that might be part of what makes the shape from, like, here-ish? Here-ish? Where do I do it from? Where do I do it from? Do I do it from up here? No. Where does the shape come from? Hello, you. Oh, I didn't realize you could do that from here. Was not expecting that. Oh, I saw you, There you are. Whee! Cool. We are not heading further up, though. We are going this way. To this place, where we can immediately inspect what's on the box. Yeah, different shades of square. That makes sense. You're a thing. I see the circle in it. See the circle. Okay, colours. So I really enjoy colour things and just like you know, additive mixing and gamuts and all sorts of stuff related to colour. Just double checking we know that we can do the separating the squares before we go in. Here we go. Here's where all the motif is around. Like, I guess these are the plants from which the petals come that are used in the swamp area. I guess ish, maybe, sort of. And then these are like this is the first panel where the panel itself is just this black line on the it's this 3D thing on the surface, and then they've painted onto this gridded paper below, or gridded sheet of something, whatever it is. Which is interesting. So yeah, these are paints now. That's fine, it still works the same way. Separate colours. Wait, is this the first time we're doing colours that are not black and white? No, is it? I honestly do not remember. Simple enough. Less simple, but still simple. Oh, wow, I didn't realize I could skip like that between those two. It just rotates. Cool. Now we go to 4 colors. How do we do this one? This doesn't work, right? No. Oh yeah, it does. I was just thinking I'd have to go around that, but no. Oh, I like the one after this one. So this one's like nice and simple. You just split it like this. And then this one's like, they've just rotated the middle 2x2. And so that doesn't work. And so you have to do this instead and have the blues and reds in different sections from each other, like split apart. Now this one's important because this one is the same as the puzzle that appears in the elevator. So in theory, if you remember this puzzle, you can solve the elevator without doing all the floors along the elevator. How do I actually do this one? Like this, yeah, okay. So if we remember that solution, we could just skip the entire elevator out. Which is a really fun idea. The fact that because in the elevator, the whole point is that the ambient light in the room that you're in is changing, and the solution changes depending on the ambient light. But the top floor is outdoors. It's that place that we saw, the yellow thing at the top. And therefore, since it's this puzzle, the ambient light is the same as in this room, which is pretty much daylight. Sure, there's some yellow coming from the sides or whatever. And so this is the solution to that elevator to get right to the top on that last floor. Okay. I like that this one gives you, this is here to force you to stop and have this in your vision. as like potentially a moment to realize what's going on. Like, because like I could see it. I know a lot of people get stuck here. I think I got stuck here as well. But like, you could come to this and like you see that in the corner of your eye. You're like, oh, that looks like a really simple puzzle. And then you go through and go, wait, that's not a simple puzzle. What's going on? And then you realize what you've got to do, because this is unsolvable. Because we've got like a junction like this, or a junction like, yeah, we've got loads of junctions here that we can't resolve. Any T-junction that we'd have to go like there, and there, that's not resolvable. So it's easily proven to be an unsolvable puzzle. So instead, we go here, we look at this, and then we realize that actually those are the same as those. This is the section that's not great for those who are colorblind. Yeah, and then this one, we look through this door. Okay. And just sort of remember which colours are paired together. Colour is like a very interesting topic in general. Then this one we look through both, right, to make it a green filter, ultimately. Okay, it turns grayscale. That's... oh. That? Yeah, okay. Cool. I did a... so at my previous job, we did a thing where we talk about... We did it, we did it for a while where like at the start of the day, like one day a week, somebody would present a topic of their choice just for like 10 minutes. So I often went over 10 minutes. And mine certainly did, because I did one on colour and the perception of colour, starting from like the question of like, what is colour? Because like people, there are lots of I don't know, like you can think of colour as like the property of a thing. Like it's like paint has a colour, or this wall has a colour, but then, you know, without, like, that colour isn't really a thing. The thing has a property which is like the way it interacts with light and how it reflects light. And then the colour is what you're, once that light goes into your eye, what you're perceiving. But even that is like, the fun thing with colour is like, and it's true with every other sense, it's just easier to like discuss with colour, I guess, because it's so visual, obviously. But like at every level you can say, but even that's not colour, and even that's not colour. Like even if you just take like, oh, the wavelengths of light going into your eye, even that's not quite it, because like people's different people's eyes behave differently. Also, like different combinations of wavelengths will make you see different colors, and there are multiple ways to see the same color with different combinations of wavelengths of light. And then also your brain does like even going beyond like how the eye functions, your brain does like processing of the image that you're seeing, and does things like white balancing and so on, which is how you get those illusions where there's like two colors that are actually the same color ultimately, but your brain still sees them as two different colors, because ultimately the actual color that you end up perceiving is like the result of a bunch of processes that happen. And that also leads into the whole, oh look, that's the desert laser just goes off into the distance over there, interesting. That leads into the whole blue black dress, white gold dress illusion thing, which is a really fascinating illusion, because like, so I've been in the position where I almost always see that image as a blue black dress, but I have once seen it as a white gold dress, so I've seen it both ways, and that's so weird. The fact that you know you're looking at the same picture, yet in one moment it was one color and the other moment it's another color, in the sense that it just completely looked like completely different colors. Like, isn't that like wild? And the reason that happens is, again, like a brain processing thing. It's like, it's to do with how your brain contextualizes the dress in the picture. Like, because like day to day we see objects under different lighting conditions. We see them outdoors, in which case the lighting is like more of a bluish light. Like the light from the sun and the sky is not just like a pure white light. It's like bluish, and then light indoors tends to be more of a yellowish color. But our brain does like white balancing, so that like the board that's next to me, like next to my desk, I would consider it to be a whiteboard, even though really, like it's kind of yellowy gray. I guess it's like really hard to like take that step back and try and think about what color you're actually seeing. And in fact, it's kind of impossible because you can't just turn that part of your brain off that is doing that processing. I guess we'll get to that more in a moment. And it's I think the thing that's really good about this topic is it really drills down into some of the themes of this game, because that perception of color, like exactly what you perceive to be a color, like the actual experience of that color, is like what's called a qualia. It's just like a philosophical term about like the experiential perception of your senses. Like exactly what does it feel like to see red or to see blue, or like to see a blue black dress or a white gold dress. Like what does it feel like? Is it not like how does it make you? Does it make you feel happy or sad? But like the perception, what you see in your mind, that is described as qualia. And that really gets down into like what this game is kind of talking about a lot, which is like, I think that in that Zen quote, that's the concrete that they're talking about, the fundamental like perception of the thing, without analysis, without anything else. It's just that raw perception of the color or whatever. A lot of people, like stepping back a little bit. Oh yeah, there's that star on the horizon, which we see in the ending, don't we? Stepping back a little bit, a lot of people, and this is just like I think like a very terrible definition of color. I think it's fine for there to be multiple definitions of a word, and it's fine to say that color is like, a property of light. I'd say like that's one definition, and it's not quite right, because like, for example, I think we'd all agree that magenta is a color, but there is no wavelength of light that is magenta, because magenta is only seen when your eye receives both red and blue light, right? But we all agree that magenta is a color. So saying that color is just wavelengths of light is definitely false. You could say it's combinations of wavelengths of light, but then I think even then you're skipping stuff out. I think the best definition of color is just what is the perception. Like it's just like a property of visual perception that is affected by like wavelengths of light and like what's going into your eye. And some people would say, like black and white aren't colors, they're just shades. I think that's like possibly the worst and most annoying definition of color. Like color is only something with like hue. That's just like not a good definition. It just like special cases black and white in an awkward way. Like what about very close to white? And what do we mean by white exactly, right? Like it's not that simple to define that. So yeah, I never like it when people say that. I think that's like the least thought about. It's people often use it as like to try and be smart, like, oh, but black and white aren't a color. But like I think that is like, yeah, the least smart interpretation of the word color, because like we still perceive, like at least for me, when I close my eyes, I still perceive something. To be honest, I wouldn't even call it black, right? Like, especially because the light can shine through my eyelids and certainly see something. But even when like there is like a complete absence of light, there's still a visual perception there. And I think that visual perception is equivalent to any other visual perception of any other color, and therefore it's a color. That would be my argument. It's ramble time. The last thing I was gonna say is on because this also relates to the like, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Like, because you can make this, you can have a similar discussion around like, what is a sound? Is the sound the vibrations made by the tree, like the vibrations in the air that end up causing the sensation of a sound, or is the sound the actual perception of that sound? Because depending on which way you frame it, the answer's different. So I think the mistake with a question like that is to think that there is one particular answer that's the correct one. I think I do that from above, right? So that the colors match. But the question is just not specific enough. That's the issue. And intentionally so. Like, you know, that question exists to be like an example of like... I'm gonna lower this down. Example of how, depending on the definition, you can have a different answer. And that's like before getting into the philosophical thing of like, if there's nothing to experience the thing, does it exist? Which is like another part to that question. Well, no. So I guess like, I think that is the main question that's trying to be asked there, is like, if there were nothing around to experience the universe, would it really exist? That's like the core of that question, but it's not good enough because people end up arguing about the semantics of sound. But if you're arguing about the semantics of sound, you could easily answer yes or no to the question. Whereas the deeper philosophical question of like, does something exist if nothing experiences it, is less easy to answer and possibly doesn't have an answer, like many things in philosophy. Okay, we have to lift this back up, don't we? So I do it from the other side, yes. Is it the same solution? Does it end up being the same solution? No, it's different. That is cool. Like, just shifting between this magenta light and the white light outside. And this gets into, you know, in the symmetry area, there was that thing about like invisible God and like, what is the solution to this is not the actual colors on the thing. The solution to this is the actual colors on the thing. And it's just like too... Like, this is the concrete. This is the... No, this is not by that definition of concrete in that Zen thing. This is not. This is the, like, scientific one, right? This is science. Getting analytical and down to the like definition of what things are. These are separate colors, and you can only tell that by looking at it under white light. This is the... Oh, I can't shift over to it. This is the more Zen puzzle of like, actually, it doesn't matter what the concrete thing is. Doesn't matter what the like analytical definition, the fact is of like what these colors are, what molecules they're made of, whatever, or the pigment. What matters is how it's perceived. Which is a nice way of illustrating that, I think. Okay, is it here that I can do this? It's totally here that I can do this. There we go. Because this window is shifting those colors so that they match. Which is cool. Okay, so the elevator's down there, and each floor has a different ambient light. I guess this is like... So it's interesting, like there's very clearly red light coming upwards and blue light coming downwards and hitting these surfaces, so you end up with this split. I guess like here there is magenta. So in the elevator when it comes up, the elevator is lit with magenta ultimately. But it's not that clear that there's a magenta light here. Like I guess, yeah, in the middle where they blend together it is magenta. So it does make sense. And the floor below is red because it's only getting the red light shining down. Yeah. And that affects this puzzle, which is that puzzle that we saw in the starting area. And so if I wanted to, I could just draw the same solution, but I'm not going to. I'm going to draw the solution as I see it, in the Zen way, as I perceive it. And then we're on this magenta floor. I guess I just wish this floor looked a little more magenta-y, rather than just like a red and blue side. But it's fine. Okay. So that reveals to us the fact that this and this is a different colour under these lights. There's like more detail to these colours as well, of course. So what would appear white under magenta light? Either... that's the other thing, is that... So here's the white balancing happening, right? Is that I'm describing that as white because I'm in a magenta room and it looks white to me, but actually that color is magenta. Like if I take that step back and stop my brain from doing the white balancing, that color that's on my screen is magenta. If you did like a color picker on this in Photoshop, you get a magenta color. Yes. So this color here is a color that only reflects red and doesn't reflect blue, but it might reflect green as well. So there's potential for yellow in this. There's reds and yellows here. Here, this is something that reflects blue but doesn't reflect red. And so therefore there's potentially blue or cyan in here. And then in this space that looks white but it's magenta, there is... like it could be actually white, it could be magenta itself. Is that all of the options? No. What else would reflect both red and blue? Both of them. Magenta itself, white. Yeah, it is just magenta itself and white. Yeah, because these and these are the same colour, weren't they? Yeah, okay, that is what that is. Alright. I do want, like, this is one of those areas of the game that feels like, for people who aren't experienced with colour mixing and, like, how light works in both, like, additive and subtractive models, this could be really confusing. I mean, this bit's not, because you can just solve this bit easily. You just solve the puzzle that's in front of you. It's the bit when the cable's broken that is ultimately going to be difficult. Okay, blue floor. Like, only blue floor. Right, so these all reflect blue in some way, because we've got blues, magentas, whites. Blues, magentas, and whites, I think so. Oh, and cyans, yeah. And then we've got the cyan floor. So now we'll know which one's a cyan. If I could, like... I think those were actually white, and maybe these are all cyan or something. I can't remember exactly how things have been split so far. But yeah, so on this floor, which is cyan... and we're going to light up the cyan cable. So this is only reflecting yellow, so it's either... Wait, so it's reflecting yellow on the cyan. How can that be? How can that be? Because you need red and green to make yellow. We've got green. Wait, is that just green? Oh, that's just green. That's my eyes. That's my brain doing the balancing again, right? These are just reflecting green, I guess. I mean, they look very yellow. I think they are actually yellow, but yeah, I can see that is. If I like think about it, yeah, that is a greenish color. Okay. Let's not like decode every single color. It's fine. Okay, then we have a cable that's broken and a sound effect to indicate it. So the next floor is green only. Let's just do that floor. I want to like actually do the one floor at a time rather than skip any outs. So green only, given what we know so far. So this definitely has green in it. But does all of it have green in it? How, like, what would this appear as? What do I know about this so far? I mean, let's just do it floor by floor, right? Let's go back down. Can I do this to go back to the bottom? Yes, I can. Cool. I'm gonna write it down. What do I know so far? I think this is how I solved it when I did it originally. So on the bottom floor, which was red, right? So it's quite a bit further to go. Oh look, we can see the red appearing. Yep. Okay. So on the red floor, which we're going to now, I'm going to draw the grid out for myself. That was me drawing lines. Okay, so what I know from this is that, so that my brain's telling me these are white, these are black, but these are actually red and that's black. So what I know is that all of these ones over here contain red, so let's write that down. In fact, I'll do it with a red pen, since I do have a red, blue, and green pen. Makes it convenient. Red pen. Red here, red here, here. Sorry, I'm doing. It's like this. I've done those, and then the rest. There. Okay, reds. No reds in those three. Next one. So here we find out that, well, we already know that these reflect red, but we find out that these also reflect blue, and these reflect blue. But these don't reflect blue. So blue pen. Blue. Okay. Then, and there's no black here, so everything reflects blue or red some amount. So that means there's no just green on this puzzle. Okay, and then here, on the blue floor only, well, it doesn't tell us anything extra, because I already knew that those reflected blue, and I forgot to write one of them down, so I'm glad I still checked anyway. Okay. Yeah, we don't get anything extra from that. I already knew which ones reflected blue. Now we'll do this. So then this is which ones reflect both blue and green. Those reflect both. So we have green in the bottom right, 2, and then the L shape along the top. Then we have green. So this is blue only, and this is green only. So it's interesting how yellow that does look, but I can, like, if I take a step back, I can see that that is a greenish colour, and it will become more yellow when we get to the next floor. So what I know now is every colour, right? So I could actually solve the end. Oh, hold on, I can solve this one, but I don't go to the next floor. So now I want to say which ones would reflect blue and green. So it's going to be this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. This will only reflect blue. This one, this one. This will only reflect green. So I want to have ultimately like these and these. No, I've done that wrong. Ooh, how do I do it? So hold on. These all reflect blue and green, and so do these. This only reflects blue, this only reflects green. So somehow these split. Like, this is a hard puzzle, especially given that, like, even without not being able to see what to do. Those need to be split. Like, ultimately that needs to be split. Wait, how? That and that needs to be split. Hopefully I've got this right. Oh, no. How could I do... Oh, like this. Okay. That's actually simple. There we go. Oh, no, that's this solution. Ah! What are we doing? I'm putting... Oh, no, I'm supposed to be doing green only. Whoops. Wow, that was weird. Okay, I was trying to visualize the puzzle that's on screen. Oh, why did I do that? That was so weird. Like, I was doing the cyan floor, even though that's the floor I'm on. And yeah, I was trying to visualize that these would be the same color and this would be different and that would be different, which is exactly what I'm seeing. But I was just doing it all in my head and not actually looking at the colors and realizing it was the same. Whoops. That was silly. So, okay, which things reflect green only? Okay, so it's just this. There we go. That's much simpler. And also, yeah, I really complicated that. Do I want to... I think I do want to jump off, don't I? Even though we're going to go higher. Because this is where I do this. Yeah. Cool. Don't think there's anything here. Just sort of look down the stairs. Come back down to me. Do you have to stop first? Yes. Again, like, I just want there to be a callback button or something. It would feel a bit better. There's like orchid plants or something. A weird shape. Okay. Yes. This is the green floor. So yeah, so solving this will go to the next level. Alright. Alright. And then we're at the top. Yes, daylight. Unfortunately we don't get to do yellow floor. Because it would have to wrap around. But it's... No, we just did the solution that we already knew because we did it downstairs. And it's not this. What is it? Is it this? It's this, yeah. Okay. Hooray! Is this also a thing? I don't know. Boop. And we're done. I like this view of like watching this pop out and shoot that. There must be some audio logs in this area, right? I just did not find any. Actually, I think I might know where one is that we should go and do before ending this video. Although you're going to take forever, aren't you? I guess I don't need to watch you. So do green again? No, not green. Do green again. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I can think where one audio log is, but I'm sure there must be some in this area at some point. I've just skipped over. I just don't remember where. However, one that I can remember is down here. I don't remember exactly where it is, I just know it's along this beach somewhere on a rock, I think. Oh, no, that was just a bit of lights. Where exactly? Maybe quite far along, actually. Around here? No. I think there's one on the rock around here somewhere. Oh, maybe at this bit. Maybe this one that I was thinking of. Although there isn't a thing here either. It's the towel and the glass. There's definitely is one along this beach somewhere. But I don't remember where. Has it been on screen and people are screaming at the video? Probably. Probably. I kind of felt like it was the other end. I can't walk across this stuff, right? No. I swear there's one around here. I'm not seeing it though. If there is. Oh, why am I stuck? Guess it's a big gap. I thought it was like... Oh, there we go. Hello, it's an orange one.
One day I happened to be occupied with the subject of generation of waves by wind. I took down the standard treatise on hydrodynamics, and under that heading I read, if the external forces P prime sub YY, P prime sub XY be given multiples of e to the ikx plus at, where k and a are prescribed,
Yep.
the equations in question determine a and c, and thence, by 9, the value of eta. And so on for 2 pages. At the end, it is made clear that a wind of less than half a mile an hour will leave the surface unruffled. At a mile an hour, the surface is covered with minute corrugations due to capillary waves which decay immediately if the disturbing cause ceases. At 2 miles an hour, the gravity waves appear. As the author modestly concludes, our theoretical investigations give considerable insight into the incipient stages of wave formation. On another occasion, the same subject of generation of waves by wind was in my mind, but this time another book was more appropriate, and I read, "There are waters blown by changing winds to laughter, and lit by the rich skies all day, and after, frost, with a gesture, stays the waves that dance, and wandering loveliness. He leaves a white unbroken glory, a gathered radiance, a width, a shining peace under the night." The magic words bring back the scene. Again, we feel nature drawing close to us, uniting with us, till we are filled with the gladness of the waves dancing in the sunshine, with the awe of the moonlight on the frozen lake. These were not moments when we fell below ourselves. We did not look back on them and say, "It was disgraceful for a man with 6 sober senses and a scientific understanding to let himself be deluded in that way. I will take Lamb's hydrodynamics with me next time." It is good that there should be such moments for us. Life would be stunted and narrow if we could feel no significance in the world around us beyond that which can be weighed and measured with the tools of the physicist, or described by the metrical symbols of the mathematician. Of course, it was an illusion. We can easily expose the rather clumsy trick that was played on us. Ethereal vibrations of various wavelengths, reflected at different angles from the disturbed interface between air and water, reached our eyes, and by photoelectric action caused appropriate stimuli to travel along the optic nerves to a brain center. Here, the mind set to work to weave an impression out of the stimuli. The incoming material was somewhat meager, but the mind is a great storehouse of associations that could be used to clothe the skeleton. Having woven an impression, the mind surveyed all that it had made and decided that it was very good. The critical faculty was lulled. We ceased to analyze and were conscious only of the impression as a whole, the warmth of the air, the scent of the grass, the gentle stir of the breeze, combined with the visual scene in one transcendent impression, around us and within us. Associations emerging from their storehouse grew bolder. Perhaps we recalled the phrase, rippling laughter. Waves, ripples, laughter, gladness. The ideas jostled one another. Quite illogically, we were glad, though what there can possibly be to be glad about in a set of ethereal vibrations no sensible person can explain. A mood of quiet joy suffused the whole impression. The gladness in ourselves was in nature, in the waves, everywhere. That's how it was. It was an illusion. Then why toy with it longer? These airy fancies which the mind, when we do not keep it severely in order, projects into the external world should be of no concern to the earnest seeker after truth. Get back to the solid substance of things, to the material of the water moving under the pressure of the wind and the force of gravitation, in obedience to the laws of hydrodynamics. But the solid substance of things is another illusion. It too is a fancy projected by the mind into the external world. We have chased the solid substance from the continuous liquid to the atom, from the atom to the electron, and there we have lost it. But at least it will be said, we have reached something real at the end of the chase, the protons and electrons. Or, if the new quantum theory condemns these images as too concrete and leaves us with no coherent images at all, at least we have symbolic coordinates and momenta and Hamiltonian functions, devoting themselves with single-minded purpose to ensuring that QP minus PQ shall be equal to IH over 2 pi. I have tried to show that by following this course we reach a cyclic scheme which, from its very nature, can only be a partial expression of our environment. It is not reality, but the skeleton of reality. Actuality has been lost in the exigencies of the chase. Having first rejected the mind as a worker of illusion, we have in the end to return to the mind and say, here are worlds well and truly built on a basis more secure than your fanciful illusions. But there is nothing to make any one of them an actual world. Please choose one and weave your fanciful images into it. That alone can make it actual. We have torn away the mental fancies to get at the reality beneath, only to find that the reality of that which is beneath is bound up with its potentiality of awakening these fancies. It is because the mind, the weaver of illusion, is also the only guarantor of reality, that reality is always to be sought at the base of illusion. Illusion is to reality as the smoke to the fire. I will not urge that hoary untruth, there is no smoke without fire, but it is reasonable to inquire whether, in the mystical illusions of man, there is not a reflection of an underlying reality. Arthur Eddington, 1927.
I was unsure whether that would actually end because it was an orange one. Okay, I never realized that there were quotes that were like related to each other in that way, because that gave some additional context to the other quote that we saw, which is pretty fascinating. That's cool. And yeah, it gives it like a lot of context that makes it easier to understand what it was about and why it was included. And yeah, it's like, again, it's like it's just spending time with the idea that I mean, I think the thing that was interesting about that particular quote just then was that it talks about, sure, we can start, analyzing the waves and why they form with science and equations and such, but like ultimately, even at the bottom of it, even if we like, even with whatever theories we have about how the universe works, even that is itself an illusion conjured by the mind. And so, like, ultimately you end up back at that. I guess it's, like, what's the opposite of physicalism? Idealism? Yes, I think idealism is kind of the belief that the mind is the only, like, real source of truth that we have. In the sense that without the mind, or without our perception or experience of the world, nothing really truly exists, or like there is no truth, I guess. And so, where am I going with that? Well, I guess I was going to say, like, it feels like a kind of idealism argument in the sense that they're saying that sure you can try and describe this physical world, and the physicalists would say, you know, the physical is all that really exists, and the mind is a kind of consequence of the physical. But the kind of that quote's ultimately saying, sure, you can describe it with, you can figure out all these equations and find out how to describe the world, but ultimately that itself is also a conjuring of the mind, and also making the point that like ultimately, and there's that other quote talking about like dissecting a joke. What was that? I'm forgetting which quotes are which. Yeah, like yeah, I guess it was ultimately talking about how I mean, it was a very long quote, so it was saying a lot, but like we always come back to the actual, just the sensation of experiencing the waves on the water, and not the equations that underlie it that we could know about, but that would take all the joy out of it, just like it would take the joy out of a joke to analyze it. But yeah, I think like sure that is part of that quote, but I think the bigger part of that quote is the idea that ultimately, yeah, well, I guess what I've said already, the underlying, like let's say we do analyze and study and come up with equations, that ultimately it still falls back on the only experience we really have, even of those equations and those ideas, is the like this like perceptive experience that we have of it, or whatever. There, it's hard to talk about this stuff. Words and ideas that can't be expressed with words easily. So instead you have to make a game that tries to express it. Okay, let's leave that there. That was an interesting quote to end on. I think I did everything there. There's probably audio logs I missed. Who knows? It's interesting the shift in like color that definitely happens in certain places. Like if I go down to the beach, there's like a much clearer, it feels like unfiltered. But if I go over here, you can literally see like a screen space effect happening, where things have gone slightly redder. Look, like everything's slightly more red. Look, it's quite subtle, but it's definitely a thing. I think you can also tell much more strongly towards the top of the mountain. It's just like a thing where everything goes a bit blue, or maybe a bit white. Like everything goes a bit brighter. There is, of course, that. Oh, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that while I'm here. While I'm thinking about it. Sure, let's do it. So you go this way. We'll go fast. So a few of them change color, right? Yeah. Red. But those two are like alternating. Red. Red. That's interesting. Which two of those? This is yellow, which matches the cable that went to the thing. Okay, getting there. How fast do we want to go? Maybe that one. Is that too slow? I just don't want to lose it and have to do it again. Oh, is this the speed? Maybe a bit faster. Okay. Probably could have gone a bit faster. It's fine. Down there, eventually. Well, I guess we end up cutting onto something else at some point. When does that show up? Like, it might be behind these bits that are coming to the left now. Yeah, I think so. Onto the grass, I guess, yeah. There's a slight shift in colour. Oop. It's not happy with that. Come on. Yep, here we go. Is it possible to get cut off here? I hope not. Like sometimes like an obstacle comes along and it makes it like really tricky to know where you're supposed to leave your cursor and avoid getting cut off. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. What's that weird noise I keep hearing? Oh, also, when I was doing the puzzles in the elevator, I could felt like I could almost hear music, but I'm not sure whether that was in real life. I kept taking my headphones off and being like, no, there's no music. But, like, I swear I was hearing, like, music. I don't know if it's just the ambience or something. I'm not sure. Okay. There's not another thing here, is there? I don't think so. Okay, next time... Ooh, audio area, I guess. Sure. Let's do that next time. See you for some clashing and ringing of telephones and all sorts of things next time. Goodbye.